So yesterday, Sunday, the 20th of December, 2020, the Mail on Sunday ran this headline: "Will this nightmare ever end?" Now that was a significant contrast to the lying, peddling, euphoric promotion of the achievements of Boris Johnson-fronted cabal in dealing with the pandemic. And today, the Daily Mail is even lower beat than yesterday's Sunday version. Noel is Christmas. That's the kind of reference to Christmas. That is a word used in France, and we shall examine why the Daily Mail is using Noel as opposed to Christmas in today's edition. So the worst Noel and agony said to last months. So it's answering its question, this Mail on Sunday's question: will this nightmare ever end? And it is answering by saying that it won't end for months. And the Murdoch scum is running a soft-focused kind of anti-French line instead of admitting the failure of the Boris Johnson-fronted cabal to control the pandemic. So it's doing a play on the word merciless, unmerciful, but it's using the French word no merci. That is, it's a French word is merci, that is no thank you, but it is making it sound like no mercy. So Macron is being painted as the merciless one for France closing the French border to British people. And the sun is not anywhere near as topical when it comes to the same Emmanuel Macron unleashing serial diversions of racist kind of hatred aimed at Muslims in France. And inside the scum, they've got this same stupid kind of approach to using language. And this is again doing a take on the French ban on the British. And they're juxtaposing Johnson's Brexit failures on the Johnson failures to curb the pandemic in Britain. And only on pages 6 and 7 is the Murdoch scum admitting the runaway strain of the virus in Britain. And because they wanted to maximize the focus against France. And that is an integral part of the same narrative of anti-EU hostility and racism. So they want to still exploit that and that propensity that is prevalent among the gullibles, the Little Englanders, the gullible majority of the indigenous white, ill-informed and brainwashed people who have been used time and again to whip up hysteria and racism. And the hysteria and racism that has been perpetuated for the last 5 years since the referendum kind of propaganda was launched by the idiot David Cameron. And it has come to a point where they are still desperate, the racists and the Brexiteers, to get the maximum exploitative advantage for Brexit propaganda by blaming the French or the rest of the world or anybody else for the failures by the Boris Johnson cabal to safeguard the people in this country from the pandemic. And this scam is completely, absolutely, disgracefully exposing its reliance on sub-pornographic kind of content. There is no sign in the wordings and in the contents of this scam that there is an emergency, that the Boris Johnson fronted cabal has failed to safeguard people and provide service, and the virus is spreading far faster than can be described. And Trevor, the poisonous, the personification of the racist, poisonous lying that Murdoch keeps in pay, Trevor Kavanagh. Now, Kavanagh is one of a number of Scottish-born stooges for the Little Englanders narrative. Trevor Kavanagh is a sick-making liar and a denier of the evidence, as is his nearest kind of poisonous co-liar, Fraser Nelson. Fraser Nelson is an inciter of racist hatred, anti-Muslim hatred, and over-the-top promotion of the Brexit cause, as is Kavanagh. And Nelson is installed as so-called editor at the far-right, racist, corrupt Spectator. Now, the Spectator has been ruthlessly kind of anti-Jeremy Corbyn and the Labour Party while Corbyn was leader on the alleged ground, not proven, that Corbyn was an anti-Semite. And they never, ever found anything that Corbyn said that could remotely resemble the literally hundreds of anti-Jewish utterances published by the Spectator with the byline of Turkey. And they never made any even mention of the fact that Turkey was writing anti-Jewish hateful pieces. And that's the role of the lying Fleet Street when it comes to hiding the evidence of racism in this country and promoting racism by the Fleet Street organs. So Trevor, the pathetic, poisonous Kavanagh, is not blaming Boris Johnson for the failure, but using the word we. We dish you a scary Christmas. Now that's associating himself with the Johnson cabal, but not in a way that is honest. It's a diversionary, in denial, corrupt, typical Trevor, poisonous Kavanagh. And instead of blaming Johnson, Kavanagh is blaming the experts. And there is a piece about the BBC Panorama program, investigating the Panorama program, how Martin Bashir did that interview with Diana. Now, we shall be talking more about that another time. And this come also as a piece about the writer J.K. Rowling earning £637,000 a month from one of her kind of scripts for the last two years. And the Daily Star is still being completely facetious. And it's kind of children playground kind of language. It's not the language fit for adult, intelligent, rational people, which is another outlet that actually feeds off the stupidity of the brainwashed gullibles. And they are running a piece about Matt Hancock. What these papers are doing is they are suppressing the actual evidence of the behavior of this virus. They are running scary headlines and scary contradictions and similar kind of comments, so-called. But they're still not talking about how the virus behaves, which is the biggest omission that we have been pointing out for months now. And this is not a picture of the giraffe. It's a picture of this so-called model. Look at that. They say that she is feeding the giraffe. She doesn't look like at all interested in feeding the giraffe. She's holding her hands near the mouth of the giraffe just for effect. But she's not looking at the giraffe or in its direction. What an insult to the animals. And look at this. This is the same criminal Beaverbrook legacy of poisonous lying that has been the most outrageous courier of the most pathetic set of lying for Brexit. And the biggest line the Brexiteers have promoted is to make Britain independent of the rest of the world. And now it is complaining. And it is not complaining sincerely or honestly. It is blaming the virus, not the Boris Johnson government or the Brexiteers, for leaving Britain cut off. And then it's complaining that vile smugglers cut the price of deadly channel crossing to £300. Now they are still claiming that hordes of immigrants and migrants are going to invade Britain. I mean, that's a very different scenario than the one on the front page, that the mutant virus leaves Britain cut off. You're saying that as far as the migrants are concerned, they are not cut off. They're still arriving in Britain. And then it is complaining that there is a blockade threat to vaccine supply. And it's complaining about the French and the rest of Europe apparently blockading. And they're saying that the lockdown could last for 2 months. And the same kind of lines. The euphoria is gone. The victory parades that the stage for Boris Johnson over the vaccine has gone. And the threat and the menacing headlines about no deal, boasting, taking back control by the British under the Brexiteers regime, that has vanished. And the Times has the most accurate factual headline. That is, Europe shuts door on Britain. And it says countries ban UK travelers as COVID cases rise by 50% in a week. Health Secretary admits mutant strain is out of control. And there is a science editor, Tom Whipple, byline piece underneath that on the front page, which is headlined, "Race is on to inject faster than virus can infect." Well, this is again a kind of desperate headline and desperate kind of propaganda for the Boris Johnson regime. It may be followed tomorrow by another desperate kind of admission that they cannot do this fast enough. And there is a rare piece about Keir Starmer making a statement at all about anything. And the Times says on pages 6 and 7, tougher rules inevitable across country as cases surge to record. And they've got 16 million people, 16.4 million people in under Tier 4 and 17 million under Tier 2. Tier is spelled Tier, tier, that is level, stage of the virus lockdown. Now, this is looking like martial law in reality, while Trump has been reportedly talking about declaring martial law to reverse the election. And Mitt Romney has, in the last 12 hours, dismissed that as not going anywhere. In Britain, it seems that martial law is being, in effect, implemented by the police. Police told to stop thousands fleeing London. Now, this is a military style, martial law style behavior. If people want to flee to a place where they think they can be safe, how is that, the stopping of people fleeing London, going to help anyone? Now, this is fantastic and rare piece that the Fleet Street hardly ever runs this kind of story. But here it is. It's a piece that we have been talking about every day, council corruption. And it says that penniless council found £300,000 to silence a critic. A Labour council with 2.8 million hole, that is deficit, in its finances set up a secret 300,000 fund to silence a blogger who has been accusing the council of corruption. Very rare indeed, this piece. It's Sandwell, near Birmingham. Sandwell Council in the West Midlands has admitted that it set aside taxpayers' money from its reserves to pursue Julian Saunders, 62, a former solicitor running a blog that the council claimed was defamatory. This is absolutely fantastic. This piece, we shall be talking more about that one, either later in this edition or in an edition as soon after as possible. And the Daily Mirror at last has a double-barreled headline that correctly identifies and locates Boris Johnson. Both the slogan as well as the person embodying the slogan. That is Boris Johnson in the middle, sick man of Europe. That is correct. And it says, the Labour Party slams the Prime Minister for not bringing in tight carbs sooner. There's a piece by Pippa Creeder, political editor, saying that France has banned all UK travellers and goods over fears of a mutant COVID strain running rampant in England. And it says France joins Italy, Germany, and Belgium in closing UK borders. Biggest ever daily infections rise, Tier 4 clamp to last for months. And And it says also that Brexit talks could go on after Christmas. And the Johnson kind of negotiator is saying that the EU has to give grounds. So this Britain is cut off. Why are they talking about Britain being cut off? Because the whole idea of Brexit was to get Britain cut off. Now, how stupid were the Brexiteers? And how stupid were the Fleet Street papers, including the stupid Daily Mirror, which is running this? Britain is cut off. When they stayed silent for years, as the Brexiteers ran riot, by claiming that Britain's prosperity depended on Britain being cut off. Notice what we are saying. This is the world exclusive diagnosis of the corrupt British press as degenerated. Fleet Street represents it. Fleet Street remained silent about Brexit for 5 years. And now, when this particular pandemic has brought about this rearrangement about the travels and other contacts with the mainland Europe, and the mainland Europe, for understandable reasons, having to impose travel bans on British goods and British persons. They're now screaming that Britain is being cut off. They can't have it both ways. Reverse and scrap Brexit is the answer. And they're saying that the R rate could be 0.9 higher, and that rapid spread of the virus to all areas. So they're saying Maria van Kerkhove, the World Health Organization's COVID-19 technical lead, said that measures such as social distancing, masks, and washing hands could help. She added it's 1,000 little decisions every day about what we do. That is absolutely correct. And Kevin McGuire is saying in his column, fear Keir, Boris. He's everything you aren't. And this is Kevin McGuire sucking up to Keir Starmer. A topical sucking up kind of excuse that he can't let pass. Kevin McGuire is a liar. Kevin McGuire is a racist. Now there is a piece in the Mirror, a column apparently called Nada Farood. So, Environmental Journalist of the Year. And she's saying that the truth about toxic air to keep our children safe must be told. And there is a promotion for a pair of comedians who hope they will be the next Malcolm and Wise. And they say that Ghislaine Maxwell, the special daughter of the crook who owned the corrupt Daily Mirror and robbed the pensioners or pension funds of millions. So this Ghislaine Maxwell has made apparently a 21 million bid to get a bail from her incarceration in the USA. Now here is a piece by Susie Boniface about page 29 about a nuclear test veteran who died alone, Ken Miller, a former Navy sailor who claimed looking at the mushroom clouds of 3 atom bombs in a weapons trial had left him sterile, has died alone. Ken Miller, who was 80 years old, is yet another forgotten hero of the Cold War nuclear tests in the South Pacific. His friend David Singletary said Ken had no family. His time in the Navy saw to that. Ken was a 20-year-old junior rating aboard HMS Warrior during Operation Grapple in 1957. He was later married 3 times but was never able to have children. Documents obtained from the Public Records Office include one stating that overexposure to radiation can lead to temporary or permanent sterility. Ken of Port Talbot, South Wales, died after being admitted to hospital with a chest infection. David said he was sterile, had a double hip replacement, lost a lung. You are not going to tell me those things happen to every 80-year-old? The Daily Mirror is campaigning for test veterans to be given medals. They are also denied compensation. Now, that couple of sentences, the last ones, give away the stupidity of the Daily Mirror's kind of approach. They should not be talking about medals. They should be talking about compensation and proper treatment. This Susie Boniface has taken over the Daily Mirror's kind of so-called campaign. She goes by the title of Fleet Street Fox. And out of control COVID-19 variant means carbs will stay for months. This is the Financial Times. Mutation is far more contagious. EU imposes travel bans, pressure to speed jab rollout. The ministers warned yesterday that England faces months of tough restrictions until all elderly and vulnerable people have been vaccinated as concern grew over a new strain of COVID-19. Matt Hancock, the health secretary, said the new variant of the virus, estimated to spread 70% faster than previous strains, was out of control. As he justified the government's new curbs, in the southeast of England. The detection of the more infectious strain of the virus in the UK prompted EU countries, including Germany, Italy, and the Netherlands, to announce bans on the flights from Britain yesterday. France said it was halting the entry of all passengers from the UK by any form of transport. Now, this is very serious evidence, admission of the failure of Boris Johnson. And there is still the stupid kind of promotion for Brexit. And the Financial Times is reluctantly admitting that businesses, that is big business, must pay for, not profit from, the Grenfell mess. They're calling it Grenfell mess. But we call it the Grenfell Towers massacre. Because and the Financial Times is also using the Christmas thing to describe Johnson's kind of year. Christmas debacle, that is the failure, caps a rocky year for Johnson. That is stupid. It's not rocky at all. It's total abysmal unfitness and failure. And they're saying that America, USA, is edging towards $900 billion relief package for the pandemic. And India has passed 10 million COVID cases. US vaccine drive battles to win trust of skeptical Black Americans. We should be talking about that. And the Financial Times, as we said before, despite the fact that they've got a they're admitting in the editorial that Johnson's government is badly behind the curve. Now, that is reluctant admission of Johnson's failure. And they are critical of the bounce back loan scheme that Rishi Sunak launched as waste of money. They talk about waste of public taxpayers' money. And the I newspaper is, of course, running the same headline: Europe bans travels. New Europe imposes UK travel bans over new COVID strain fears. And despite all of these, they are not still describing how the thing behaves. They're talking about the speed, they're talking about all the other things, but they're not talking about A to Z. Remember, this is what we have been saying right from the beginning, that Fleet Street is lying. Despite appearances to the contrary, the Fleet Street is absolutely lying and hiding the truth of how the thing behaves. And instead of talking about the behavior of the thing, they're focusing on travel ban. Remember, the Boris Johnson graph, Boris graph, is the solid daily platform of liars, Brexiteering liars and Brexiteering liar Johnson. And they're saying that there is a travel ban. Now, why should this travel ban be of relevance at all? If Britain, Little England, this is the actual meaning, by Britain, they meant and they mean England, Little England. They don't care about the Scottish people. They don't care about the Welsh people. They most certainly don't care about the Northern Irish ones, because Brexit, if the plan and the agenda that Johnson and the Brexiteering co-liars gets to be the real policy in practice, then the peace agreement and the kind of cessation of hostilities in Northern Ireland that has been ongoing for more than nearly 20 years now would end, and the part of Ireland would become violent again. And that is directly connected with the kind of relationship on the borders that the UK, that is England, maintains or creates. And the only reason why Johnson and his cabal of liars stopped talking about that aspect of the Brexit plot is because of the result of the election in the USA. Joe Biden is known to have clearly opposed Brexit if Brexit meant the end of the Good Friday Agreement. And the Trump supporting Boris Johnson cabal cannot afford to ignore that. So they kind of put a lid on talk that suggested anything to do with interrupting the peace process or undermining the Good Friday Agreement or its implications. So what the Fleet Street papers are not saying, and what the evidence demands that they should be saying, is all the implications of the Brexit lunacy, Brexiteering lunacy. Even today, when they're all admitting that the virus, the pandemic, is getting out of control in Britain, they're still looking for ways to blame that on some kind of EU action.